Hey, everybody. It's time for 8 Days of Power. I am elated to be on here with you coming from Paris, France. And it has been an amazing experience. And I'm grateful for you all who have been on this journey with me. I've been posting videos and just sharing this journey with you all. And I am excited that we are at day 4, which means that hopefully by now you have already started adapting the different principles into your life, really seeing yourself in a different way. For those of you who do not know, I am Dr. Angela Shuttlesworth, CEO and founder of Healthy Villages, where we help you increase your profit, performance, and power by tapping in so you don't tap out, and by making sure that you're able to perfect your life, leadership, and your legacy. And the way we do that is really helping you to find out who you are and engage. Hey, Janine, thanks for being here. And Honeydew's coming to us from good old DC and Maryland. I appreciate you, and I hope that you all are really getting something from this, because I am. So I hope that you are. So for those of you who do not know, we have been on a journey together, and the whole premise of this is to really get you to own your power and to take your power to the next level. And the way that we're doing that, hey Tina, thanks for joining in. And Tina's doing some awesome, amazing work too. So please make sure you follow her as well. Tina Hines, who's an intuitive spiritual sister. So I find it just beautiful that you're on here today, because we're going to be talking about spirituality. So what we've done thus far is got to the point of getting you to recognize that you are a multidimensional being, meaning that you have multiple layers of who you are. Shopping experience, yes. Thanks for bringing that up, because I'm going to tie that in as well. And so we have gone over, how do you see yourself biologically? So your physical health, and how do you ensure that you are nurturing opposed to abandoning certain aspects of your physical health. We talk about psychological health, and what is your mentality? What are the thoughts that you think? Where did those thoughts come from? What are the thoughts that are brought to you by your environment? Are you able to know, hey, Tashonda, thanks for joining in. She's coming in from Prague, representing Milwaukee. And are you able to really know what's your thought? What is the thoughts of others that you've adopted? And today we are talking about spirituality. And I have 3 major thoughts for you. But for the sake of our conversation, I want to make sure that I give you the actual definition. So when we say spirituality, we're talking about the beliefs, practices, and guiding principles that direct your very existence. And so I apologize, it says my connection is weak. So hopefully you all are able to see me. Can you all let me know in the comment section if you are able to see and hear me? Because it was strong 2 seconds ago. And I actually came to another area to make sure that you all could hear me very well. And this is too good for us to not have a very conversation where you can hear what I'm talking about. Alrighty, so that means it's going good. Thank you. All right, so when we're talking about spirituality, I want you to, so you can see me and hear me. Perfect. Alrighty, perfect. So I want you to think about the first overarching question, which is, if you don't answer any other question, this one in particularly, you pause ever so often. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, it went away, so hopefully we're good to go. Perfect, thank you. So the first question is, how did you choose your spiritual practice? And one of the things that I think we take for granted is how often our geography determines our spirituality and our spiritual practices. So if you are born, let's say, for example, in the Western Hemisphere, 9 times out of 10, most of us are Christian faith or have that basic belief principle. And if you're born in the Eastern Hemisphere, you may adopt more so to a Muslim or a non-traditional form of faith. And so we take that and we have a lot of judgment of others based on that. And unfortunately, it kind of divides us, and it causes us to show up differently, thinking that our actions are based off of a spiritual belief and a practice, opposed to it really truly being what we personally and individually believe, which is quite unfortunate. So sometimes we have to stop and pause and really go through and say, I know these are the things that I was taught, but is it really truly what for me, Angela, what I actually believe in? Or am I just carrying on more so traditions opposed to the spiritual faith that I actually believe? And so when you have that moment where you can have an honest dialogue with yourself and really see, what do you believe? And how, once you've had that conversation, what do I choose to carry on as a spiritual practice and a guiding principle for how I live my life? So for me, it's important that I am what some would say possibly over emotional. And sometimes what I say for that is that I'll take it because I am exceedingly and abundantly joyful. But I'm also exceedingly and abundantly aware of how what I say and what I do impacts others. And oftentimes we take that for granted. And I want to make sure that we think about that. And then the second question is, what is it and how often do you check to see, okay, are my actions actually really mirroring that which I believe in? And how do you check that? So do you pause through the day and say, is that really based on what I believe? Or am I just acting out in what I was told I was supposed to do? So like even I had to think about the words, like when we say certain things like we are a peculiar people or fair ain't fair. So I realized sometimes that even that thought, even though it puts me in a position of power and puts me in an advantage point, it also can sometimes make me oppressive because it makes it seem like I'm deserving of something that somebody else isn't deserving of. And oftentimes we don't even think about that. We're just so like, favor ain't fair. I'm blessed and highly favored. But what about others? And we don't even think about the conversation about cancer and how sometimes we'll say certain things like, oh, she beat cancer and she fought hard. Well, but what about those people who have passed on, who fought doggone hard? I recently lost 3 loved ones that words cannot describe. And when I tell you they fought hard. So what does that say to them? What does it say to the degree of they didn't believe enough? And that is so far from the truth. They believed until the last second that they deserved to be here. So we have to think about those words that we say and the actions that we have that match what we actually do believe in. I apologize. I keep saying the connection is weak, even though my Wi-Fi is strong. So I am seriously hoping. And what I may do is just do a video and then post it as well, because I won't forget what I'm talking about. And then lastly, the third question I want you to ask yourself is, how does what you believe match and influence your leadership style? So think about, we talked yesterday about culture. And for me, because people have oftentimes, we use the phrase that my culture was robbed from me. And there's so much of my history that was taken away. So I am always making a point to allow people the space to honor whatever their culture is. And sometimes to a degree that they may not even want to. They may be like, oh, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, no, it is a big deal because culture is a part of you. The same thing for spirituality. How do people have the safe space without judgment to honor what they believe? So for me, I'm realizing more and more how grateful I am that I grew up in a family that loves. And when I say love, I'm not talking about the love that's convenient. I'm talking about the type of love that really takes a lot of work. So for example, I'm on this journey living abroad, and yesterday, my Uncle Billy sent me a text message and said, I hope that you are truly enjoying your journey. And he said, I've been thinking about you a lot. And so I personally believe that spiritually, he knew that I needed to hear from someone that is a man in my family in that way. And so the spiritual connection that we have allowed for him to tap into himself in his spiritual wave line and know that his niece needed to hear from him. And that's amazing. For example, my great-grandmother one day, we have a story in our family that really lets us know about spirituality. She was in Tennessee and she was cooking some eggs, and she had a whole lot of kids. So I don't know at this point if it was my Uncle Lonzo. I think she had, by this point, had 12 kids. So she's cooking for everybody. And as she's cooking, she drops the pot and says, my baby just got shot. Now, at this time, my uncle is literally over in, I believe it was Vietnam or somewhere overseas. Oh my goodness, yes, it runs deep. He was overseas fighting a war. Nobody had told him anything, but she felt it. she knew that her baby was in danger, and she knew that he had been shot. It wasn't until days later that she got word that what she felt and what she knew was actually true. And my uncle actually was shot at the very time in that she was in Tennessee. How amazing is that? She, to me, my mama Helen, is the epitome of knowing your spiritual self, tapping into it, and allowing it to guide you to know and to connect with those who you're connected to. And for me, it's my leadership is based on that in so many ways. We say it as far as being intuitive, where I can just look at one of my staff members or one of my team members or even my friends and say, something ain't right. And so sometimes they may be like, oh, I'm good. Because, that's the phrase that we use now. Everybody, I'm happy. That song. And I always think about that song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. And how it has forced us to get to a space of not realizing the beauty of worrying, the beauty of concern, and versus just brushing it off and just continuing with your day and acting as if everything's okay when it's not. And so for me, spirituality has been the ability to truly connect and to engage with those in a way that others don't. And so, yes, for me, it does also come in dreams where I've known certain things about family members before they've told me. And it's also been a sign of connection and also protection. So I remember I had a dream that a family member was about to go through a divorce. And I called my grandma and I said, Mama, this is what's going on. And they then had a sisterhood retreat and it came out. And so if we stop and pause versus the hustle and bustle that we go through in life and pause and tap into that spiritual self, it allows us to be more present, to be more able to engage and to be able to help each other along this journey. But oftentimes we are so concerned with the doing that we're not cognizant of the being. And that's why, even though I say the psychological is probably my favorite, spiritual comes with that. Because if I have the mindset to know that all of me is important, then I'm going to tap into my spiritual being. And when you do that, oh my goodness, the power that you will have. And we have to think about all of those times where we're dismissive of that, how we're losing our power because we're losing our ability to connect. So just think about how often, again, what do you believe? I try very hard to believe in the innate goodness of people. However, sometimes life will show me something different. So, for example, as Honeydew was saying earlier, I was at a store earlier today purchasing a scarf. And I had one scarf in my hand that I got from one side of the scarf section. And then I, lollygagging through the department, went over and looked at another scarf. And as I picked it up, I saw it as I was going up. Hey, Sharon, thanks for joining. As I was going up the escalator, and I was like, I got to go back and look at that scarf. And so even though I'm going to all of these different countries, rarely do I think I've never purchased anything except for postcards because I'm, balling on the budget. And so for me, I wanted to get something different. So earlier I had on the scarf actually that my mother purchased for me from Paris. And so I was buying me another scarf to remember Paris. And so at any rate, the lady then walks up to me and says, yeah, I want to make sure you know that the price of this particular scarf, because I see the other scarf in your hand and I just want to make sure you know that it's not the same price. Little did she know I had not looked at the price on the other side of the store. I wasn't thinking about price. I was just looking at what did I desire. And it was a missed opportunity because here I am in this new land and I'm seeing someone who looks like me and it could be an ability for us to connect. But she was coming with judgment and thinking that it was like, I call it the Oprah Winfrey moment. Remember when she went to go buy the purse and they told her she couldn't afford it? So it felt like that. And it was a thing of, woman, do you not know what I may have been going through, what I may have been experiencing of already feeling like I don't belong in a certain place or somebody doesn't want me to be here. But instead, she so chose to ostracize me and to make me feel less than. That is clearly not honoring an ability to be spiritually connected with those that she was here. And it clearly could, exactly, she made an assumption without knowing. And I'm like, she don't know, like they say, don't count my coins. Please don't, you don't know me. And so it was like, let's have a deeper conversation. So I went to our manager and we had a conversation and he was like, so you just Some people here in France, it's France, they don't know. And I was like, but that's not acceptable. So again, how does that affect how we show up? Is it an opportunity where I just brush it off and move on? But no, because I am spiritually connected, I thought that in that moment, I don't want anybody else to go through what I went through because I knew how it made you feel. And so because of that, I used my voice. And so therefore, because I'm in tune with who I am, I realize my power. My voice is powerful and I use it. Hence why we're doing 8 days of power. And so it was just really a moment to realize that one, she could easily be missing out on money and different things like that for a company. And she's somebody who's a part of that team. So hopefully, and I actually tagged them in a post to let them know that if you need to have a conversation, Healthy Villages can help you with that. But it's just, again, it's not about the business aspect, but it is. This is about you all who are business owners and leaders within your various companies, organizations, to think about those opportunities where we can be spiritually connected, which is another level. It's enough to say, hello, how are you? That's surface. But when you really connect to, what does this scarf mean to you? So for me, it was a way to connect to my mother, to show her, Mom, I got a scarf just like you got. It meant so much more. But instead, as Tina said, she came from assumption space. That's not a space of spirituality. It's not a place of strength or power or any of that. And so I encourage you to tap in to that spiritual aspect of you. And so going back to what is it that you believe, hopefully what you believe is something that's rooted in empowerment. And we think about our faiths in the things that we believe. I also asked the question of, as we talked about yesterday with culture, who taught you your culture? In the same token, who taught you your spirituality and your spiritual practice? And most of the time, sometimes it's, subservient, and it's not from a place of divinity. And that is one of my goals, is to really get everyone on the page of really walking in their divine power. That's my ultimate goal. When I'm all of this work, all of this engagement, all of this conversation, the conversation of power is really getting you to that space. I remember a day where I was with a colleague of mine, and we were talking about spirituality. And I told them we were going through what I believe. And I am a practicing Unitarian Universalist. So I am a respecter of all religions, all faiths, as long as it is respective of all people. And it also comes from a space of realizing that everybody's on a journey. Everybody is able to define what their truth is. And so in that aspect, I told the person that I believed in what they wrote just as much as I believed in what was in the Bible. And they said, oh, no, don't give me that much power. Why not? Why is your voice less than what you choose to believe in your spiritual practice? And most people don't stop to think about that. And a lot of people don't want it because they're like, that's just too much pressure. So if you think of it from that perspective, then why do you not want to live in a life that's truly in alignment with what you believe? And so that goes into the second question that I asked you all, of how often do you connect your actions with what you believe? And so it's a really beautiful space to be in when you're able to say, I did that. And I was with some girlfriends earlier today. Some of you know I'm here on this, I call it my sister love trip, where with some girlfriends, and I thought one of them was irritated. Well, I knew she was irritated with me. And I kept asking her, are you okay with me? And she like, girl, if you don't leave me alone. But because I honor that relationship, I care about how she sees me. I want her to know that her love of me matters. I'm okay with it looking like, girl, you getting on my nerves, or however it could possibly be perceived. But because my mindset is in a space where I know she cares about the relationship, and I'm not worrying about the judgment. I'm more so worried about the connection, and I'm worried about the engagement. I'm worried about those things. So therefore, those little small things, they don't matter. And when we get to that place, we can really talk about a conversation of sisterhood and partnership. And I was talking to a guy friend of mine about what partnership was. And he was like, I've never heard anybody talk about partnership in the way that you did. And he's married. So I was like, well, what did you think partnership was? And, because if it was to the degree where you feel like you have to do everything alone, then what do you have a wife for? What do you have, a husband for? They are supposed to be with you. When we say two becomes one, do we really believe that? Do you ever feel like, we are supposed to be on this, and I don't even want to call it a battlefield, because that means that we always have to be at war. So I would prefer to say we're on this journey together. So when you believe that, and that's your spiritual practice, then your actions should match that. Make sense? Okay. So, hey, Veronica, thanks for joining. So, those are the things that allow us to check in and to really know, okay, if we believe those things, then it helps to reduce stress. And remember, when we say tap in, the whole purpose is to reduce overwhelm and to reduce stress. So if I'm doing something that helps me to connect and to know that I'm in partnership with other people, you all will hear me always talking about a village, and I'm a part of a village. So if I know that I'm a part of the village and I know I'm not alone, then I live my life a different way. So if I live my life a different way, then I have different results. That's why, as I always say, I take leaps that most people don't take. If you haven't watched any of the videos before, you will know that I quit my job in May, did not have a plan. It seemed very crazy. Then on top of quitting my job without a plan, I said I'm going to move overseas and travel the world for a year. Who does that? It's a person who has a spiritual belief that I can do this. I am a genius, and my genius will always make room for me. So if I say that and if I believe that, then my actions have to do match what I'm talking about. So therefore, I'm able to take leaps. And that's the place where I want you to be from, because if you're your most powerful self, you're going to do the unimaginable. You're going to take leaps and take risks that will allow you to be in a place, in a position that most people would never dream of. And that's what we need. So therefore, and so I have just been told that you can see my face, but you can't hear words. So I told you, Tina, that is definitely why we are connected. I told you me and you are going to definitely have to have some conversations. Let me take this ear. That the volume was some of you all are hearing it. Jump, jump, jump. Yes, yes. Why did I just think of that song? Crisscross and make you jump, jump. And so I need to do a version of that. Say your spirituality and make you jump, jump. Exactly. Hey, Keisha D, thanks for joining me. Keisha is right across the way where we were having a beautiful time. And I stopped and found a quiet space in this beautiful hotel. I think you can see it now, where it's vibrant colors and it's giving me the energy that I need and deserve. And I wanted to be in that space for you all. So again, my spiritual practice is that my environment influences how I show up. So I want to make sure that I'm in a space. So before I got on this video, I walked outside, got some fresh air, and did what was necessary for me to show up in a better way. And so it's like, what do you do before you show up for others? Do you pause for the cause? And for me, the cause is being here to push you all into the next realm of your powerful self. And so I hope that in some way you are able to tap into your spiritual being, and then that will empower you to empower others, and thus get us on my goal, which is to heal the world. And of course, I love that quote that says, the people who can change the world are, oftentimes, bothered by those who have no thoughts of it, and the people who want to do it are the ones who end up doing it, right? So I know that if you're on this call, hey, Terry Ann, thanks for joining in. I know that you're one of the ones who want to do it. And so that's the people who I'm concerned with, because you are the ones who are going to be the change agents. We're going to be the ones who empower others to get on this journey with us. And that's how change happens. It doesn't happen sometimes on a mass scale all at once. I can't hear you. Did you say something about me? Yes, I did. I'm not sure how some of you are hearing me and some of you aren't. Well, I will go ahead and do a video and then post that, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it. So I am going to check on out, because remember, 8 days of power are 8 days where I want you to really be coming in, getting in your thoughts, really holding yourself accountable. And as I said, we have a Facebook group called High Power Leaders. And if you go and search it, come and join us, be a part of the conversation, as we're here to help you and to hold you accountable. And because I know that you all want this. I know you do. And as one of the young ladies in the group said the other day, she said, I need this. It's not even just a want, it's a need. And we think about how turbulent the times are and how just stressful and overwhelmed we are. And I'm here to say it's possible. So we need believers who are believing in the impossible. And like I say on my webinar, the word impossible says, I'm possible. So do you believe that? Is that your guiding principle in your spiritual self? So thus far, you have been empowered. I don't know if you know it, but I hope you're using your power to show up for yourself in your spirituality, in your thank you, Veronica, for posting the group, and for looking at yourself on a biological level, spiritual level, psychological level, biopsychosocial, and spiritual. And we talked about culture as well. So I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at the same time. As some of you have requested, I will do a video and I will post that. And hopefully you'll be able to hear it better. Love and hugs. You know I'm here for you. If you have any questions, always feel free to inbox me. But I encourage you to join the group. And as always, you can check out the website. It's www.Be.Lead.Grow. And it is definitely a movement. And I hope that you all will continue to be a part of it. So I thank you. And in 2 seconds, I'm going to start and do the video and I'll post it. Hope all is well. Take care. From Paris, France.